everybody. I am just about to get started with my holiday baking. All I have to do is set a couple more things up and then we can get going. I don't really have any Christmas decorations up in my house other than like my little Christmas tree, which is very cute. Though outside, I bought a plastic skeleton for Halloween from Target. Um, and after Halloween was over, I didn't really want to take it inside. So I took the Halloween like outfit I had on off of it and excuse me. I attached a big red bow to the rib cage and put my Santa hat on him. So now I've just got the holiday skeleton. Um, there we go. All right. Got laptops out of the way. Excellent. Um, the playlist I have on is someone I tweeted about streaming, and then a Twitter that was for copyright free music liked it, and so I looked at their playlist on Spotify. So that's what we're listening to today. Um, so today we are gonna make a truly absurd amount of cookies. I'm doing a quadruple batch of sugar cookies. I'm doing a quadruple batch of gingerbread cookies. I'm doing a double batch of eggnog cookies and a double batch. I think I'm doing a double batch of eggnog cookies and a double batch of chocolate peppermint cookies. Um, because everyone I know deserves cookies and I love them. Uh, that might be too many sugar cookies, but I figure if I have way more than I need, then that just means I get to give away more cookies. Um, like I was thinking about giving some cookies to the veterinary clinic that I take my cats to because they're always super nice, that kind of thing. So, we are going to start with the sugar cookies because the dough has to rest in the fridge for a while before it's ready to use. So we're going to do the sugar cookie dough, the gingerbread dough, and then we can do the drop cookies because those won't have to rest in the fridge at all. So, as always, I'm going to be using my stand mixer because it's just really convenient. Um, if you don't have a stand mixer, like everything that calls for a stand mixer could be made with a regular mixer as well. But when you're doing a bajillion and a half cookies, it's really nice to not have to like hold that hand mixer up for 2 hours. So I'm gonna get that moved over here. Stand mixer. Also, welcome to whoever is watching me. Uh, we're gonna have a good time here. I'm probably not gonna be streaming the entire time I'm baking, just because I'm gonna be doing it all fucking day. There we go. Usually, when I'm baking this much, I'll just listen to podcasts all day. But since apparently I'm a streamer now, it's time to stream. I'll be right back. So I have had this cookbook for my entire life. This is the cookbook that my mom used to make sugar cookies, and then when I moved out, I took it with me, and now it's the recipe I use for sugar cookies. I have never used any other recipe out of this book other than the sugar cookie and like frosting recipe. You can tell it's well loved because there's splatters all over this page. Um, so as with basically all cookies, the first thing we need to do is soften up the butter. Um, like I said, I'm doing a quad batch of sugar cookies, and I can only fit about a double batch in this bowl at a time. So, uh, I'm gonna do that, which will be fine. Um, So a double batch of this is going to be 2 cups of butter that I have to melt. And not melt, but soften. There's a difference. When you melt your butter for cookies, it gives the cookies less structure. It makes them want to spread out and be chewier versus like thicker and softer. And as always, I prefer the thicker, softer sugar cookies versus the thin, chewy ones. There are some cookies like gingerbread that is really good when it's just kind of thin and chewy, but not these guys. Maybe not gingerbread, but like I made ginger snaps for one of my friends a while ago, and he wanted them to be chewy, so they were more like ginger chews. But I think ginger chews are a candy. Or peanut butter cookies. Peanut butter cookies are also really good when they're thinner and chewier versus thick and soft. So each one of these sticks is half a cup. So for a double batch, it is 4 sticks, which means for the second batch, we're going to be doing another 4 sticks. And it's going to be so much butter and so much flour. There's going to be like oh, hi. Oh, no. Those are bots. Hi, bots. As soon as I get this butter in the microwave, I'm going to block you. Can I block you? You working? There we go. I had 3 bots in the chat at one time. I had to ban all 3 of them. Okay. So, like I always show the stream, here's the butter. Some of it is fully melted, but most of it is just soft, and that's what you want. So we're going to take a spatula and get all of this into the bowl of the stand mixer. So a lot of the time when I'm making cookies, I start off with the whisk attachment to beat more air into the cookies, into the butter and sugar mixture, because that's one of the really great places to do that at. With cookies like this, with sugar cookies, you don't really need to do that. You still want everything to be like very creamy, but we're just gonna start with the regular like beater, well, whatever this one's called. Usually I see them online called a paddle attachment, but it doesn't really have a paddle part of it. Anyway, that guy on there. Let that go for a while. I'm very sorry if this noise is the devil. It's the best I can do. So while that's going, we are going to sift together all of our dry ingredients. So it's going to be our flour, our baking powder, and our salt. We are going to need a bigger bowl. All right, here we go. I forgot that one double batch is 6 cups of flour. Okay. 1, 2, 3. We're sifting it because the flour that I have, I got, it just helps incorporate a little bit more air. I'm not really bothering too much with that for the butter, but for the flour, it's still a good idea. And also, this flour is from a big 25-pound bag I got from Sam's Club, and it's not very high quality. So a lot of it is still in, like, big clumps. And so sifting it beforehand will unclump it and make it blend better. All right, that was 3 cups. One, 2, 3. And now we need, it says a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I'm going to put a whole teaspoon in it. It's not going to make it actually salty. Salt is just going to help balance out the flavor and balance out how much sugar is already in it, and also kind of bring those flavors out a little bit more. Salt really just enhances flavor, and that's what we want. This butter is looking super creamy. It's going to be awesome. Then we need 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Once again, I'm sorry about the noise. I'm going to turn this up a little bit more. I really wish there was actually some other people here so that I could ask them if they would prefer it if I just muted the microphone while the feeder is going. Alright, I'm going to turn that off for a minute because the butter is super creamy and awesome looking. So last year or the year before, I changed my technique when it came to making sugar cookies for the holidays. Because what I always used to do, which is what I think most people who make sugar cookies do, I'll be right back, which is, make a whole bunch of cookies and do, like, I guess kind of average sized cookies, like this, around this size probably. And then, hopefully have some friends or have your kids help you use regular, like, colored buttercream frosting to frost them all different kinds of ways, and they're really cute. I stopped doing it that way because since hey, it's good to see you too. So I stopped doing that style of sugar cookie, where they're like, yay yay big and with buttercream frosting because I make too many fucking cookies. And if I'm the only... Oh yeah, it's time to do all of my holiday baking. I have to mail out presents, and with those presents I have to have a lot of cookies. So instead of doing that kind of style of sugar cookie, what I do now is I make miniature sugar cookies so that they're a lot smaller, and I can get a lot more out of a batch. So maybe I don't need to do a quadruple batch. I'm not sure yet. How much sugar do I need in this bitch? I need 2 cups of sugar. So I do miniature sugar cookies so that I can get a lot more out of the work that I put into it. And then, instead of frosting it with like traditional buttercream frosting, I make royal icing, the kind that like hardens after a little while. And then I swirl in the color that I want it to be so that it looks kind of marbly. And then I can just dip the cookie into it and let it drip off. And it's got this really nice marbly design on it with like a quarter of the work. I love the color of my mixer too. My husband got it for me for Christmas last year. And I have put, it has gotten so much work. Since you're here, let me know if the noise of this mixer is terrible because I usually don't have anybody here to tell me. Okay, cool. I'm never quite sure. Since I let the buttercream for so long earlier, it didn't take very long to get the sugar nice and homogeneous in there. And now I need to add 4 eggs. So we're gonna turn this back on. Add the eggs. How's your day going? Okay. So now we are going to add a teaspoon of vanilla extract. This cookbook that I use says to put lemon extract in this, which I did for a very long time, until one of my friends made fun of me for putting lemon in basically everything. So now I put almond extract in it, which is actually really nice. But it's really potent, so you don't need to put a whole lot. Okay, so this is all the wet ingredients. I'm going to scrape down the sides of this bowl a little bit and make sure everything is off the bottom. The only problem with the stand mixer is there's a little circle on the bottom that doesn't always get picked up by whatever attachment I have on there. Alright. So now we're here. And what I'm gonna do, this is all the dry ingredients that I already sifted together. So what I'm gonna do is have this mixing on its lowest setting while I add about a cup of the mixture at a time. And what doing this does is help make sure that everything is incorporated well, that you don't get a big like cloud of flour as you try to dump everything in at once. I think those are the two things it does actually. Yeah, dude, I'm making, I might just do a triple batch of these sugar cookies. This is a double in the bowl right now, so probably just a triple batch. I was thinking about a quad, but that's probably too many. So triple batch of sugar cookies, quadruple batch of gingerbread cookies, double batch of eggnog cookies, and a double batch of chocolate peppermint cookies. And this is because I love my friends, and my friends love my cookies. Yeah, see? It's still, like, poofed up out the side. Yeah, it's okay. It's gonna be much easier for me this year than in previous years. Mostly because I'm not working this year. So I don't have to try to plan around like my work schedule to get all of this done. That's been the hardest part in years past. There we go. The goal is to have all of the cookies done today. That way tomorrow I can get everything packaged up and taken to the post office, since most of the cookies that I'm making are going to be sent to like Washington State. Alright, so all of the flour has been added to the bowl and it's mostly incorporated. So now I've got to detach this. There we go. Yeah, that is some good looking dough. So since I only have this one stand mixer and this one bowl for the stand mixer, what I'm gonna do is lay some plastic wrap down on a tray and then wrap up the dough in the plastic wrap and stick it in the fridge while I clean out this bowl and use it to make some more cookies. I'm gonna do another batch, a single batch I think, of the sugar cookies, and then I can get started on everything else. The sugar cookies and the sugar cookie dough and the gingerbread dough has to rest in the fridge for a while so it stiffens up before I start rolling it out and baking it. Which will give me a chance to A, take a break, and B, make the eggnog and chocolate cookies, because those are just regular drop cookies and they don't necessarily have to rest in the fridge. There we go. The biggest reason I do so many, like a quadruple batch of the gingerbread cookies every year, is because the recipe that I use makes kind of a small amount of dough, but it's really good. And also the cookie cutters that I use for the gingerbread cookies are really big, because rather than traditional little people for the gingerbread, I like to make gingerbread dinosaurs. Because one of my friends got me a set of dinosaur cookie cutters a few years ago for Christmas, and they came with a stamp to they came with a stamp to indent the bones of the dinosaur into the cookie, which is my favorite thing. I have not really made no-bake cookies. I've had them before because my friends have made them, and so I know they're tasty. The easiest cookies that I usually make are cake mix cookies. Yeah, the dinosaur cookies are the best. The easiest cookies that I usually make are cake mix cookies, where you take a box of cake mix and then you add like a third of a cup of melted butter and 2 eggs and like chocolate chips or whatever, and then you bake it and then you know, shape them into balls and bake them for like 10 minutes. And they're the perfect little cookies. That's what I make when I'm having a bad brain time, but I need some cookies. But I can still make those complicated if I'm feeling fancy. Come on. Motherfucker. There we go. Alright. I have been playing Hades lately, and it's been so good. I just got past, before I started baking, I got past the boss. Ooh. Those do sound yummy. I just got past the boss in the Elysian Fields, and he was obnoxious as hell. And I also defeated him with the punchy fists, which I didn't expect to. I don't usually use close range weapons like that, but I was having such a hard time with that level, with the weapons I usually choose. I was like, fuck it, fist time. Can confirm, dough is tasty. I would have kept playing if I hadn't needed to do all of my baking today. But I can play some more when all of this is done, and it will be my reward for finishing up all of this baking. All right. And now this is going to rest in the fridge for a while I start the next batch. There we go. Okay. I have to clean these things off really quick. So you get to stare at my fridge for a moment. Okay, I'm back. Uh, it'd be nice to have somebody here to help me out. That way, maybe they could help wash stuff or talk to the camera. Um, so that was the first part of the sugar cookie dough. I'm going to do the second part, which I'm just going to do. I was planning on doing a double batch, rather, I was planning on doing a quadruple batch of sugar cookie dough, but that seems kind of excessive. So I'm going to do a triple batch instead, which means this time I only have to put a single batch of dough in here. So we need a cup of butter. I have quite a supply of butter in my fridge because I knew I was going to be doing so much baking today. And as always, we're going to melt it, or we're going to put it in the microwave till it's nice and soft. I really hope my parents send me the D&D cookbook for Christmas this year. I have a lot of nerdy themed cookbooks, and I really like just expanding that. Okay. Yeah, I literally just started and I already have flour on the counter. It'd be like that. So for a single batch, it is 3 cups of flour. 3 cups of flour. 1, 2, 3. Worry not about how empty this container seems. I have probably like 15 more pounds of flour in the pantry. This is a half a teaspoon. So we're going to put half a teaspoon of salt in here. And a whole teaspoon baking powder. And then we're going to sift it. I'm also really excited. So Thursday is the first night of Hanukkah, and I am not Jewish. My husband is not technically Jewish, but he is culturally Jewish. And if you know anything about Judaism, then that makes perfect sense. If not, just ask me about it and I'll explain. But anyway, so first night of Hanukkah is on Thursday. A lot of non-Jewish people assume that Hanukkah is just Jewish Christmas, and it's actually completely different. And I personally, I find it to be a lot more meaningful, but that's probably because I'm not really a Christian either. But on Thursday, let's put this over here. On Thursday, I'm going to be doing a special Hanukkah stream. Alright, this butter got a little bit more melted than it should be, but it'll still be fine. So on Thursday, I'm going to be doing a special Hanukkah stream where I make latkes, which are the little fried potato pancakes, and talk about the history of Hanukkah and why it's celebrated and stuff. I'm not going to be going over any of the like religious ritual aspects of the holiday because as someone who's not Jewish, that's not really my place. But I am excited to talk about the history and make some delicious fried potatoes. There it is. Alright, so I over melted this butter. I'm not going to melt more butter, but what I am going to do is let it whip for a long time so that hopefully it will thicken up. I think that'll be okay. It's still pretty loose. I shouldn't have let the butter melt for so long. Pretty sure it'll be okay. So, where'd my sugar go? Here's my sugar. So we need a cup of sugar in this, which is going to be 2 of these. And then we'll let that go for a minute. I'm a little bit interested to see how different these 2 batches of cookies are going to be since one of them is over melted. I'm sure they'll still both be tasty. There's a teaspoon of vanilla extract. And since this is a single batch, we need to use even less of this almond extract because it's just really powerful. So instead of pouring it into a teaspoon, I'm going to pour it into the cap. Alright, and then I'll turn this on low and start adding the 2 eggs. And then we're going to let that get nice and homogeneous before we start adding the dry ingredients, which I already sifted and mixed together. Okay, so with the eggs in there, it's getting a lot more body as it mixes, which is good, since it's not able to get very much body from the butter because I over melted it. So I'm going to let that go for a little bit longer before I turn it down to low and start adding in the flour. This is a batch of sugar cookie dough. I am also going to be making a lot of gingerbread cookies, a double batch of eggnog cookies, and a double batch of chocolate peppermint cookies. Okay. So that is pretty well mixed together, and we're going to start adding the flour. It is going to be so tasty. I'm going to be baking basically all day. My goal is to have everything baked and decorated today. That way tomorrow I can get everything packaged up and put into the mail. Originally I was going to do a quadruple batch of sugar cookies, but I decided that was probably overkill. Okay. Actually, that's going to go for just a second longer. There. Okay. I pretty much do this much baking like every year. This year it's a little bit easier since I'm not working, so I don't have to plan around like my work schedule or me having enough energy to do it, which is really nice. Someday I'll figure out how much I should sell cookies for, and then I can add that to the menu, I guess. I already sell my sourdough, probably for cheaper than I should. But like with the sourdough, I don't bother trying to like... The recipe that I use for my gingerbread cookies is actually a vegan recipe that I started using because one of my old coworkers was vegan and I didn't want him to feel left out when I brought in a bunch of cookies for Christmas. And then it turned out to be like super awesome, and I sent some to my parents for the holidays, and my dad loves these gingerbread cookies, even though they're vegan. So this is a double batch of the same dough that I'm making here. Since I need this bowl, I'm gonna do the same thing where I wrap it in plastic wrap and then stick it in the fridge. Okay. And then you can see my gingerbread recipe, because that's what I'm gonna be making next. Come on. There we go. That is some uncooperative saran wrap, but I think most saran wrap is pretty uncooperative. I feel like I haven't seen you on my streams for a while. How's it going? Can confirm dough is tasty. Like, you definitely don't want to eat too much raw cookie dough while you're baking, but it's still important to test it every once in a while. Okay. Yeah, I think that since I do like miniature sugar cookies, this will be enough. This will be enough dough to make cookies for basically everybody I know. Um, okay, so there's that. Um, I have to wash this bowl so that I can put more cookie dough in it. Um, so I will be facing away from the camera for a couple of minutes, but if you have any questions about anything, like throw it in the chat, and then when I turn back around, I'll answer all of them. I'm good. Um, I put up my little Christmas tree a couple of days before Thanksgiving because I wanted to take cute pictures of my cats with the Christmas tree so that I could print them out and send them to people as part of their presents. Um, and I got all of the presents bought and wrapped up a while ago, so now they're nice and stacked up around my little Christmas tree. But when I get everything set up to get mailed out to people, I'm gonna have much less presents around the tree, um, which is a little bit sad, but it'll be fine. um, my husband might be home sometime this month, which is nice. We were planning on him being home sometime in January, but it looks like they might send him back a little bit sooner, which is going to be great. I probably won't have him for Christmas, but that's okay. All right. So next is the gingerbread cookies. So I need to go grab my recipe for that and then start collecting my ingredients. Perfect vegan gingerbread cookies. I am going to, let's see, all-purpose flour back there. I need whole wheat flour, baking soda. Okay. I have to go to the pantry and collect all of the ingredients for the gingerbread, so I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Oh, I forgot something. Sorry. Okay. So, vegan gingerbread cookies. Um, First thing we're gonna do, as almost always, is in a bowl, mix together the dry ingredients. Uh, which is gonna be 2 2/3 cup of whole wheat flour. One, two. That's 1 cup. 3. I'm not really excited about Christmas itself, just because I don't like this year. Like, my husband isn't home, so it just can be me here. A lot of mine and his Christmas tradition. That was 3, yeah. Mine and his Christmas tradition is usually on Christmas Day or Christmas night, or like for some part of Christmas, he and I will go get Chinese food. Because as I have mentioned, he is culturally Jewish, and that's what you do on Christmas if you're Jewish, because nothing else is open. Last year for Christmas, I don't think he was home he wasn't home last year for Christmas either. So, and my housemate at the time was worried that I would have a real bad time if I was home by myself for Christmas, because she was going to go hang out with her friends. And it was actually fine, because I have a really fancy bathtub, so I just took a fancy bath and drank wine and watched cartoons on my phone. And it was nice. I might do the same thing this year, or maybe I'll just order Chinese food and play video games for Christmas, since I'll probably be home alone again. So that was the flour. I need a teaspoon of baking powder. Yeah, it was really nice. Since I'm on Tumblr, I got into Moomins, and so I just watched a bunch of Moomins on my phone while I took a fancy bath, and it was so relaxing. Ah, my molasses. There. And then I also need 2 teaspoons of baking soda, which is going to be 4 of those. And hopefully my husband is home by Christmas, but it's when you are a military spouse, you just don't plan on these kinds of things. Like, you hope for the best, but it is what it is. And now, so many spices. One, 2, 3, 4. I need more than that. 1, 2, single batch of this is 2 teaspoons, and all I have right now clean is a half a teaspoon. And a teaspoon of nutmeg. 1, 2. Hopefully all the stuff for my family gets to them in time, since they live on the other side of the country. And this recipe doesn't call for, oh, it does call for cinnamon. Okay. Yeah, it works for me and my husband because we were friends for a really long time before we even started dating. And by the time we finally did start dating, he was already, did I put salt in this? This recipe doesn't call for salt. I'm gonna add some salt. We were friends for a really long time before we even started dating. And then by the time we did start dating, he was already in the military. So for most of our relationship, for most of our, romantic relationship, we were long distance anyway. We didn't actually get to live together until we got married. Which we got married pretty early into our actual, romantic relationship, but we had been friends for so long that by the time we actually started dating, we pretty much both knew we were in it for the long haul. And I handle him being away by making sure I have a lot of hobbies to fill up my time so that I don't get too distracted by how much I miss him. Okay, so that's all the dry ingredients. And then in a large bowl, we're going to cream together the coconut oil and the sugar. We need, it's going to be a whole cup of coconut oil. I'm also really lucky because when he is deployed, he's really only gone for 3 or 4 months at a time. If he was in the Navy, like your fiance was, then he would be gone for at least 6 months or a year sometimes. I'm just no thanks. That's a bit much. If he was going to be gone for 6 months a year, then I would figure out a way to just be at home with my family for the time while he's gone, and then come home to wherever he's stationed at whenever he is home. Welcome to the stream. So this is a cup of coconut oil for our double batch of vegan gingerbreads. I do vegan gingerbread just because it's the recipe that I have. I started making the vegan gingerbread a couple of years ago because I was making cookies to bring into work, and one of my coworkers was vegan, and I wanted to make sure he didn't feel left out. And it turns out it's a really good recipe. Unless I tell somebody that it's vegan, they never actually know. Okay. So there's all the coconut oil for this batch, and I need the sugar, which is, I don't know why it says, why does it say that? Okay. Let's see. It says half a cup plus 1 tablespoon of sugar, which is a really weird specification. But okay. Again, this is a double batch. This recipe makes a surprisingly small amount of dough, and since the cookie cutters I use for these cookies are kind of big, I just always have to make a lot of it. Okay. So now we're gonna start blending this while I get the molasses ready. Come on. There we go. I'm sorry if that sound is terrible. It's all I've got for you. Okay. So we need a whole cup of molasses. I should have had this resting on the cap. Oh well. There we go. Alright, 1 cup of molasses. Alright. So luckily, I have enough molasses in my pantry that I can make another batch if I need to. I need to whip this on a higher speed for a minute so more air gets incorporated. I'm sorry about the noise. Alright, now we are going to add some vanilla. We're going to add a teaspoon. I think I'm almost out of my good vanilla. There is a difference between the 99-cent vanilla and the $10 vanilla. I only use the $10 vanilla for good stuff. So now we're going to add the molasses, and it's not going to look very good. Okay, let's try it from this angle. Okay, cool. Alright, now we get to blend that. So this is the first double batch of the gingerbreads I'm going to do. I'm going to do another double batch after this one. Alright. I don't use So like for gingerbread cookies, usually you're gonna use like a little person cookie cutter to make little gingerbread men, right? But I like to make gingerbread dinosaurs because one of my friends got me dinosaur shaped cookie cutters for Christmas a couple of years ago, and they are an absolute delight. Um, they're a little bit big, so that's part of why I have to make sure I make like a double batch of these. Hi, I'm good. How are you? Uh, but it's worth it because the gingerbread dinosaurs are wonderful. Um, all right, so now it's time to add the dry ingredients. As always, uh, I'm gonna have it on low while I add the flour. The gingerbread dinosaurs come out so cute because they also the cookie cutters come with a stamp to like indent the bones into the cookie, and then when I go to decorate, I just have to make some like white royal icing and fill in the bone stamps, and it's so cute. The only thing that would make it better um, would be if I was able to get like little sugar Santa hats or something, because I already get sugar googly eyes to put on them and they're a delight. Okay, time to start blending this. Add the dry ingredients a little bit at a time so you don't make a mess. Excuse me. The ginger in this got to me. Okay. So this dough looks really crumbly. It's gonna be fine. There we go. We're gonna go ahead and scrape everything off of there. Since I'm gonna be doing another batch of the same kind of dough, I might not clean this bowl this time. I haven't made cake on stream before. I am making gingerbread cookies right now. Why is this so crumbly? Did I mess up the flour in it? The water! I forgot that there's supposed to be water in this. Fuck. Half a cup of water. See, that's why you always double check your recipe. Because otherwise, sometimes that's going to happen. Okay. Yeah, this looks much more dough-like now. Okay, cool. Yeah, I don't usually make a lot of cakes. I am not a particularly good cake decorator, and like you can make a delicious cake, but nobody's really gonna pay attention, at least not on the internet, unless it's really pretty. And I don't really have the patience to try to get good at cake decorating right now. Though for one of my friend's birthdays, I did make her a caramel apple upside down cake, and that was delicious. Okay, so this is the first batch of the gingerbreads. Cookie sheet, saran wrap. Sometimes I make cake mix cookies when I want cookies, but I'm too lazy to make cookies from scratch. And those always come out really good. Yeah, somehow my baking prowess has become cookies, which I consider to be the easiest things to make, and bread, which can be some of the hardest things to make, at least until you know what you're doing. Bread is something that I believe, like, you have to go at bread with confidence. It knows when you don't know what you're doing. It will respect you if you give it your all, though. Yeah, that is some cookie dough. Yeah, a quad batch of this will probably be enough for everybody. But as I'm baking, I will decide if I want to do another one. Yeah, this should be fine. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and make the next batch of gingerbread in this bowl without cleaning it, since it's the same kind of cookie anyway. A little bit more saran wrap on that. Excellent. Cool. More cookies. Come on. There we go. Okay. Same as before, we're gonna mix together all the dry ingredients. I'm gonna blow my nose really quick. I have been playing Hades, and it's been so much fun. I didn't really, like, I heard about it, but I hadn't really considered checking it out, because I didn't know what style of game it was, and then I found out that it was a roguelike dungeon crawler game, which usually isn't my jam. But I follow Polygon really closely, and they were doing a stream the other day, and I think it was Jenna who was talking about how Hades was going to be her game of the year. And I was like, well, if Jenna likes it, I ought to check it out. I need to go get some more wheat flour. I'll be right back. So I've been playing Hades, and that's been excellent. I finally got past one of the levels that was giving me a hard time right before I started this stream. So I'm excited to get back to that once I'm done with all of my baking today. But it's gonna be a while because I am doing so much baking. Motherfucker. Alright, I guess we're gonna open you that way. This is fine. Okay. There's that. And of course I'm excited for my husband to get home and play this game because it's also something that he's gonna like a lot because he was already really into this style of game. One. I need more AP flour too. Two. I'm sorry, I'll be right back again. This is the giant bag of flour I got from Sam's Club a couple weeks ago. It's good to have, but it's not necessarily the most convenient. I have to do it over here. I have to refill this container over here because I'm running out of counter space. So one of the things I'm hoping to do in 2021 is finally go back to school. I graduated high school in 2009, and ever since then, I've pretty much just been, working at various customer service / food service jobs. Right now I'm not working because I'm lucky enough to have a husband who can support me while the coronavirus is happening. Because it's just not worth it to deal with the general public. I feel like if you can avoid it. But it would be really nice to actually go back to school. And much to almost everybody I know's surprise, I actually don't want to go to culinary school. I would actually really like to study paleontology, which, like, every time I say it, the person that I was talking to about it the first time, because she is going to be able to help me figure out school stuff, she was, like, the look of confusion on her face was beautiful. As she was like, what is this? Nutmeg, okay. As she was putting together all of the various dinosaur knickknacks she's seen around my house over the last few years. And the thing about paleontology, excuse me, the thing about paleontology is that it's not just dinosaurs. A lot of people, understandably assume that studying paleontology means studying dinosaurs. And while dinosaurs are a really big part of it, because the Mesozoic, which is the dinosaur era, was like the longest continuous era of Earth, like dinosaurs have been dead for longer than humans have been around. People forget that sometimes. It's not that dinosaurs were like were failures or not successful at surviving or anything. If it wasn't for the asteroid, we would probably still be living on the dinosaurs planet. But there's also so many other just fucking rad things to study. I am unsure of what part of history I want to study because all of it's just so fascinating. But I definitely want to do something with that. The other part is that, like, to be a real paleontologist, you have to have, like, a master's degree. And I don't know if I have it in me to actually go that far, just because a master's would be so much work, in addition to being, very expensive. Yeah, there we go. My baking soda's empty. I'll be right back. But since I don't really plan, so like here's the thing about going back to school. Part of why I never went back to school in the past was like I was always really overwhelmed by the requirement to like know what you were doing and like have a career plan in mind and to go to school for something that would be like productive and make money and all that kind of thing, which like is very important, but I couldn't think of anything I wanted to do that I thought that I could do continuously, that would be worth the time and money and energy spent on going to college. So I just never really went back. And then, like, I moved out of my parents' house and I realized how expensive living was. And then I, was stuck in the cycle of, like, wanting to do something, but, like, who has the time to go to school when you're stuck working a minimum wage job? I mean, some people can do it. I'm not one of them. Excuse me. And then it's kind of like, what's the point? I kind of felt like, what's the point of spending all the time, energy, and money doing that if the world's going to end in 10 years anyway? And all that kind of thing. And then just recently, I had the realization of like, what if instead of going to school for something specifically to make money, what if I go to school for something that I've just always been passionate about, like paleontology? Which maybe to some people is a no-brainer, like that realization. But I feel like, and also even if it's not a no-brainer, it is something that's very privileged. Like I'm very privileged even to be able to consider it. To be able to go to school without like a 100% plan in mind. But I think that if I am able to go to school for paleontology, I think that I would be very good in the fossil preparation labs because I have the autism. So I'm very good at like hyper focusing and attention to detail and stuff like that. Um, the only problem with that plan is that based on the research that I've done, uh, most of like the grunt work that gets done in the fossil preparation labs is frequently done by like, college students who need their volunteer credits. Um, and also, there aren't any museums near me that do that kind of thing. There are archaeology museums near me because there's some like indigenous people burial grounds near us. But that's about it. The nearest good like natural history museum is a good 5 hours away. Which would be that's something that I would be willing and able to like I'd be willing and able to make that drive like once a month. But that's probably not going to be enough time to like get all the volunteer hours I need. But we'll figure it out. Okay. Don't let me forget the water this time. Alright, that's good enough. This is why I got extra molasses. Okay. missing last time. Once you add the water into the bowl for this recipe, you're like, wow, is that really gonna come together and make some cookies? And it will, after you add the flour back in. Right now it looks broken and terrible, but it will be good. There it is. Excellent. So as always, we're gonna take this off and scrape everything down. Get it in the fridge. Still wondering if I should do a third double batch of this. Because I always run out of gingerbreads faster than I want to. And I do have the supplies to make another batch of this. And I don't have to worry about cooking for myself tonight because I have last night's leftovers in the fridge. I probably should do another batch. Okay, so here's my plan. I'm gonna do one more batch of these gingerbread cookies. And then I'm gonna take a break so that I can get some lunch and get things straightened up before I make more cookies. But let's not get ahead of ourselves because I have more gingerbread dough to make before I can do that. I have food for dinner, but I'm sorely tempted to order something for myself for lunch. Or I could have my dinner for lunch and order something for myself for dinner. That might be better. So I'm humming because I can see little globules of unincorporated coconut oil in here, which is probably because I used cold water from the fridge versus like more room temperature water from the tap, which is less than ideal, but we'll see what happens. There we go. Into the fridge it goes. My kingdom for some fresh coffee. Okay. One more batch of gingerbread. Flour. Actually, no. I'm sifting the AP flour, even though I didn't do it last time, because my AP flour is not especially high quality, so it's really clumpy. I don't like it. Not gonna bother sifting everything together. But the AP flour needs it. Look at how clumpy that is. Okay. And my whole wheat flour for these. 1, 2, 3, 4. And 1 of these. For some reason, I have a 2/3 cup measuring cup, but I don't have a 1/3 cup measuring cup, which does get confusing sometimes. 6 of these. 6 because all I have is a 1/2 teaspoon right now. I lost count. Man, I can't believe I've only been doing this for like an hour or so and I'm already getting real tired. Yeah, I think what I'm gonna do is after I get this batch done, I'm gonna order myself some lunch. And while I'm waiting for my lunch to get here, I'll get the kitchen cleaned up and ready for the next batch of cookies. That seems perfectly reasonable. What am I gonna order for lunch, you say? Probably Chinese food. I'm a simple woman. Sometimes I'm gonna spend way too much on Chinese food delivery. One, 2, 3, 4. That's not great. time being, coconut oil. This guy. Well, I'm gonna have like just enough coconut oil for all this. Yeah, I'm gonna get the rest of this out of the bottom, and that should be just enough coconut oil for this last batch. How convenient. Okay. Okay. That looks much better. Okay. I'm gonna need that. looking good. And this time I'm putting in it needs to be a half cup. Well, I'm putting in a half a cup of warm water since the cold water messes up a little bit. It is half a cup, right? Yes. Let me go ahead and scrape the sides a little bit. Alright. And now we get to add the dry ingredients. Okay. Looks excellent. There. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and get this wrapped up and stuffed in the fridge. I'm going to turn off the camera for a while I get the kitchen straightened up and I get some lunch before I start on the next batch of cookies, which is going to be the dark chocolate peppermint cookies. If you follow me on Twitter, I would love it if you would let me know on Twitter whether or not you would rather watch me roll out and bake all the cookies, or if you would rather watch me decorate the cookies. I don't want to stream both of those because that's just going to be a lot of streaming in one day, and I would rather spend at least one of those instances listening to podcasts or something. It's a little bit more relaxing for me. I have so much counter space, and yet I always need more counter space. Okay. I wish I had some iced tea. I'm glad I decided. Motherfucker, come on. I'm glad I decided to do 3 batches of gingerbread because it's the dough that I always run out of the fastest. Mostly because I insist on using cookie cutters that are bigger than they need to be. Okay. What's the point of the little sharp edges on the box if of the box for the saran wrap if it's gonna stop working like halfway through the roll? All right. So that was the third and final batch of the gingerbread dough. This needs to rest in the fridge for a while so it can stiffen up. The gingerbread cookies end up taking kind of a long time to make because, like, you have to wait for the dough to stiffen up, but then you have to wait for the dough to loosen up so that you can actually roll it out and cut it, and then you have to let it rest in the fridge before you bake it so that the cookies keep their shape. But it's totally worth it because this recipe is delicious. All right, so in the almost 2 hours I've been streaming, I have done a triple batch of sugar cookie dough, which is resting in the fridge, and a sextuple. I've done 3 double batches of gingerbread, which is also now resting in the fridge. I am also going to be making eggnog cookies and chocolate peppermint cookies today. Here we go. Hi. I am going to stop streaming for a little while so that I can get the kitchen straightened up for the next batches of cookies, and also so that I can get some lunch. I will probably start streaming again in about an hour. Let's see, there's a link to my Twitter in my profile. I would love it if you went to my Twitter and let me know if you would rather watch me roll out and bake the cookies or decorate the cookies, because I'm probably not going to do both on stream. This has been very fun. I can't believe I'm already tired, and I still have the rest of the day to go. But we're going to keep on trucking, because I need to make cookies for all my friends. I will see you soon, hopefully. And yeah, I'll be back in about an hour to do some more baking. I'll see you soon.